please check the ego at the door. It has nothing to do with fasting. When you fast, you don't want to be around none of that stuff. You really get an opportunity to feel what it's like to be here in your body. It's the ultimate grounding exercise. That's telling you the whole reason that we eat. This was the aha moment for me when I read the Mucusless Diet book. This was the part where something clicked in my head when I read this. In the human existence, what's most important? Is it dead animal flesh? Or could air be the most important thing in our reality? Could breath be the most important thing?
Vitality. Mind equals power. Mind is talent.
So for folks that took drugs, they have things like heart palpitations, headaches, nervousness may set in. I experienced all of these things in my early years when I started practicing the diet, and it's not fun. But I'm so thankful to have this information where I knew what was going on. I knew exactly what was happening. So here's the big question: how long should one fast? Nature answers this in the animal kingdom with certain cruelty. Fast until you are either healed or you are dead. Eric believes that 50 to 60% of healthy, so-called healthy people, and 80 to 90% of seriously ill ones would die from their latent diseases through too long a fast. Eric believes that 50 to 60, or if you want me to, I'll even say it. So the people that need to hear it firm, I'll say it firm. So if that scares you, if you're not somebody that strong masculine kind of delivery, I will say it lighter so you can hear what I just said. So Eric believes that 50 to 60% of healthy people and 80 to 90% of seriously ill ones would die from their latent diseases through too long of a fast. Are you getting this? Do you understand why? Do you understand why we're saying short-term fasting? I've done hundreds of 24-hour, 48-hour, 72-hour fast to get to the point where I could do some of the longer fasts that I did. But you don't just start there. You work your way up and you make sure it's not just about how long you're fasting. How much are you cleansing, and how cleansed are you? How clean are you? This is a lifestyle about cleanliness. This is a diet about cleanliness. Healing is about cleanliness. You want to heal, then you're going to have to clean yourself up. You're going to have to be clean. This is how you get clean. But the overzealousness, the ego, you got to check the ego at the door. It has nothing to do with fasting. Validation and wanting people's validation, worrying about what other people think. If you're getting, too skinny or this or that, it's like dealing with the system, dealing with these principles, because they've been proven to work time and time again. It's smart to plug into them. So if you're new here, I'm Professor Spira. I practice something called the Mucusless Diet Healing System by Professor Arnold Ehret. I've done so for over 22 years, and I've helped thousands and thousands of other people. Ever had any questions that you wanted to ask me personally? Then I want you to join the Mucus-free Life membership. When you do, you're gonna get direct access to me. I do 2 coaching calls per month. You bring your questions in, and we're gonna go through everything. We have 2 accountability calls per month. We have our own social media platform called Mucus-free Social. You also get access to the menu and recipe library. We also have exclusive training sessions, workshops with me, all kinds of fun stuff planned for the membership. My opinion is reading the book alone is not enough. So many people have read the book, but they didn't have the structure, support, and accountability to keep them on track, to decode certain things that were still confusing. That's what the membership is all about. You're going to have access to a community of people that actually care about your success. There's nothing else out there that's like this, because there's nothing like the Mucusless Diet Healing System. This is one of one. You want to get the benefits out of it, then you're going to want to join the Mucus-free Life membership. Click the link right now. See you in there. Huge right here. How long to fast cannot be determined in advance, even when the condition of the patient is known. How long to fast cannot be determined in advance. Who's read this? So many numbers. I'm going to do a 20-day. I'm going to do a 30-day. I'm going to do a whatever the number of day. And I'm saying particularly when you're fasting to really work, when you're really working on something, you're really trying to heal something, you're really, it's not a vanity thing. Like, you're really like, okay, this is something that I need to do. And some people do, people fast for different reasons. So some people are fasting to heal. Some people want to try to lose weight. Some people, it's a spiritual calling. So my message is, I'm not here to, if somebody is doing a long-term fast, like I said, I've done I've done several 6-month-long juice fast. I've done 14-day dry fast. I've done things that I don't recommend anybody do. That was a part of what I needed to do for my growth and my understanding and my spiritual thing. And if I had done what I did and had a bad time of it, I wouldn't have blamed the work of Professor Arnold Ehret, because I deviated from the methods for my own experimentation. But I'm saying master this. I did have a mastery of the short-term fasting principles, because this all made a lot of sense to me. Next, super huge. When and how to break the fast is determined by noting, 1, how conditions change during the fast. So this is part of why you get so attuned to yourself and your body and your internal world. And for some people, this is the first time that they've even really experienced what it's like to be in their own skin, because we have so many things to distract us. And today that's more true than ever before. All these screens, wherever you go, there's screens places, and there's stuff that's trying to take our attention, and social things and loud clubs and loud music here and this kind of stuff. So a lot of people don't know what it feels like to be in their body. When you fast, you don't want to be around none of that stuff. You really get an opportunity to feel what it's like to be here, to be in your body. It's the ultimate grounding exercise. I mean, you grounded right to the earth when you're fasting. And you look at how conditions change from day to day. You notice these changes. You notice the eliminations. You observe bowel movements. What's going on? What kind of the smell, the nastiness? Is there worms coming out? If you're doing enema, is there a bunch of worms? Is there a bunch of mucoid plaque that's coming out? The smell of stuff. And your sense of smell generally gets like superpower, which can be annoying when you're around things that don't smell very good. I try to control smells in my world a lot because my sense of smell is very sensitive. The fast should be, now this to me, this next little phrase is like, this was the aha moment for me when I read the Mucusless Diet book. This was the part where something clicked in my head when I read this. And it says that the fast should be broken as soon as you notice that obstructions are becoming too great in the blood, needs new vital substances to resist and neutralize the poisons. Can I get an amen? This is church for me right here. Woo-wee. Man, when I read this, something clicked in my head like, wow, we got because that, I mean, and I should just do a whole video on this one thing, because I could talk about this for an hour. The fast should be broken as soon as you notice that obstructions are becoming too great and the blood needs new vital substances to resist and neutralize the poisons. That's telling you the whole reason that we eat. Why do we eat? To resist, perhaps to, just a suggestion, perhaps to resist and neutralize poisons. I mean, it's a theory. And it's something that's been well tested, because the less poisons that need to be neutralized in one's body, the less obstructions that's in one's body, the longer the person generally is able to fast. So that's huge, because now which is going to be a little bit too deep for this discussion, but a more advanced topic is how this ties in with the theory of vitality equals power minus obstruction, to really put into perspective what is truly important in the life of the human, in the human existence. What's most important? Is it dead animal flesh? I'm still here. I haven't eaten dead animals for 20 years. Dairy, is that, protein? Is that what's important? First, pro meaning first, team meaning principle? Or could air be the most important thing in our reality? Could breath be the most important thing? The breath of life. Know thyself. And anybody that knows themselves will know breath. They will know their breath, and they'll understand that your breath is everything. And anything that gets in between your breath and your body, mind, and spirit, that's a significant problem. Eric recommends rejecting the idea that the longer you fast, the better the cure. He says that humans are the sickest animals on earth. No other animal has violated nature's laws as badly or eats as wrongly as us good old humans. So it would make sense that we need to be a bit methodical about this process. We can't do what our ancestors may have done tens of thousands of years ago. It's just fast at just eating and I don't feel good. I'll fast for out of nowhere. And we need to take care with this process. Have respect for this process. That's something I don't see a lot. And some of the folks that talk about fasting is the respect level. That how deep this is an ancient practice. This is an ancient practice that has been handed down to us from our ancestors. It's a privilege to do this, but we need to respect it. We need that, which means we need to understand it, which means we need to do it as best as we can. And doing it as best as we can means that you take your body through the recommended process to clean a little bit over time. And as you do this, you will get to a point where your body will ask you to do a long fast. You won't want it. It won't start up here in your head. It won't be an intellectual inspiration. It will come from inside of you. And it'll be like, it's time to do this. And that's what Mike went through. We saw the story of Mike earlier. This was something he had to do. He had to do a longer fast to deal with some things physiologically. And he did it, and it worked. But the principles are the same. Here's Eric's general principles of fasting. 1, prepare for an easier fast by gradually changing the diet toward a mucusless diet and with natural laxatives and enemas. So let's get into some of these terms because it confuses people. So in one place, Eric says that laxatives are bad. Here he's saying to use natural laxatives. What's going on? So what Eric is saying is he is not a fan of those harsh purgative type of laxatives. Something where you would go to the drugstore and take a pill and then it just, or the kind of stuff that you would drink something that whatever they give you when you go and do a colonoscopy, like that kind of laxative, not good. Natural laxative would be something like herbal stomach and bowel formula. He had his Interclean formula. Today, that would be any number of stomach and bowel formulas, like Dr. Morse's GI Renew, I guess is what it's called now, or the Pyridine Cleanse, that kind of stuff. So that's one option. The other option is in another part of the book, Eric talks about a natural mover where you would eat dried fruit followed by juicy fruit. Now, again, we're not breaking the fast with that. We're preparing. That would be part of a larger transition dieting regimen, which refer back to lessons 15 and 16 and 17 for that in terms of the transition diet. But that is what you want to do. You want to get your body ready for fasting, not just jump in out of nowhere where we're going to McDonald's and then now you're going to fast for, without any change, without any transition, you're just going to start fasting. Don't do that. Change shorter fast periodically with some eating days of cleansing, mucus-free or mucus-lean periods. So this gets into this concept of intermittent fasting, which Eric, as far as I know, he coined the term intermittent fasting, but it has been bastardized and changed, and it's something we'll talk about later, perhaps. But this is the dynamic of short term, then intermittently, you eat 100% mucus-free. Now, as a number of people recently that was in the coaching program recently saw that eating mucus-free, 100% mucus-free, is harder than most people think. That's correct. It's not easy. No one said it was. That's why we recommend transition, and you transitioning for a while, because to be 100% mucus-free, which would mean no nuts and seeds, no avocados, no starchy anything. When you get to that space, that's a good place to visit, but then you would want to work the system again. And we won't get real deep into talking about transition diet. That would be a different day, but very important. Here said, we are getting in the intermittent fast. So in modern times, some people refer to this kind of process as intermittent fasting. This intermittent fasting thing, where basically you're doing, say, a 24-hour fast, you don't eat all day, then the next day you would break it, and or maybe have or go some days where you would only eat once a day. There's different variations of this kind of thing, but the idea is that you are having short-term periods of more aggressive fasting, what we would call aggressive, where the more restrictive you are, the more aggressive you're being. Or if you are consuming juices that are potent, then the more potent the juice would be, and the smaller amount of it, that would be something that was more aggressive. So you are intermittently interweaving these more aggressive periods with less aggressive periods where you are eating mucus-free items or even mucus lean again. And so you are going through this process where you're going back and forth in between short-term fasting periods and increasingly progressive, or as they say, progressively changing menus, moving toward more and more mucus-free eating. Be particularly careful if the patient has had lots of drugs. Again, this comes back around again. You have to really understand if you took a lot of pharmaceutical drugs, recreational drugs, whatever, that stuff is in your system. The residues of that stuff's in your system, and you're probably going to feel those side effects when they leave your body. This happened to me, and it was a number of years into practicing the Mucusless diet. I was doing a fast, and all of a sudden I was feeling really, really weird and just had some different symptoms that I usually didn't have during a fast. I started to taste this kind of chalky taste in my mouth that reminded me of this drug called Seldane that I took when I was 7, 8, 9 years old, that they took off the market after it killed adults. I took that for several years, and I looked up online, because you didn't have that back in the day. Now you could look these things up online, and I looked up side effects of Seldane, and wouldn't you know it, every side effect that was listed on there, I was going through. And so just keep that in mind. If you smoked a lot of weed, there's going to be some elimination to deal with. Anything, any drugs of any kind, you're going to have to deal with that stuff, and as those poisons kind of go through your body. So so be particularly careful if you have had a lot of drugs in your life and in your system. Do not try to fast until the tongue is clean. Earlier in the Mucusless Diet book, Eric talks about the so-called magic mirror. The tongue is representative of your GI tract. Think about it, your tongue, it's not this separate little thing that's in your mouth. Your tongue is connected all the way down to your colon. It's one long tube from your tongue to your throat, all the way down to your colon. Big tube. When you have a whole lot of mucus on your tongue, you can rest assured that your entire GI tract, again, we talk about the spongy nature of the tissue system, is totally constipated all the way down to your colon. And as Eric mentions elsewhere in the book, the foundation of all illness is in the colon, the seat of the colon. If anything is wrong with anybody, look first to their stomach and look at the condition of the colon. And so this throws people off, because when they eat fruit, sometimes if in the earlier stages of their transition, they'll eat fruit and they'll get a mouthful of mucus. And I'll be like, wait a minute, I thought this was mucus-free. Why would this fruit cause mucus? Well, the fruit is actually loosening up and moving, helping your body to expel and move this mucus, move this lymph system that has been stagnant. Because once you remove the stagnation from your system, you no longer have that type of experience. But this can take a long time, because again, this is glue-like mucousy substance that's just constipated all through your tissue system. It takes a while to neutralize and loosen this stuff and get it moving. This advice has caused trouble with what Eric calls fanatical fasters. So Eric mentioned some of these type of folks that are fanatical fasters, where they and he points out folks that reject drinking anything, the dry fasting people that would say it's not fasting if you take anything into the body. Then you have the water fasting enthusiasts that said it's absolutely not fasting unless you are drinking water. And they might say, well, never dry fast, but don't drink juice, only water, and it's got to be done a certain way. And then that's their argument where they're at. Then there's the fruit juice fasting. People say if it's not fruit juice then or above, then it's not fasting. Then other people, the juice feasting with fruit juice, vegetable juice, that would be a form of fast. What a lot of people are experiencing is that eating 100% mucus free is a fasting level for a lot of people's physiologies. And eating raw mucus-free, that's definitely can do some things. My advice is to get experience with all of these different levels, so you know what they all feel like, you know what the power of each one is, because all of those different modes have a place and can be a very good tool depending on what you are going through physiologically. But you don't want to get over invested in any one area. You want to be able to seamlessly shift and transition in and out of these different modes. And this is the art of practicing the Mucusless diet. And we're talking about some stuff that's a little more advanced here, but you want to be able to, that would be the goal, to get that kind of experience. Of course, that takes time to get that. But this is why you want to use this as a roadmap to get you that experience.
I want you to look right here. Here's another great video specifically for you. So click right here and I will see you over there. Peace, love, and breath.